Greetings and welcome to your destination. You've reached the Psychological Wellness Hub. We aim to help you build your knowledge and wellness around better understanding mental health and psychological concepts. Today's topic is an expansion on specific phobias, a kind of part two where we build on the further understanding the concepts of phobias. Please feel free to watch part one of phobias in this series, which prepares you for this video. The link for part one is down in the description of the video below. Let's go ahead and review. Can specific phobias disrupt your life? Yes. That can be minor to extreme difficulties. Can they impair parts of your life? Yes. Things like your work, your responsibilities, school, your goals, your social life can all be impacted by specific phobias. Let's talk some more about the types of specific phobias. As stated in the first video, there are many types of specific phobias. This condition currently follows 5 categories, which are blood injury injection type, animal type, natural environment type, situational type, and other type. To expand on this, here are some examples, but not all. Fear of germs, bacteria, or diseases. Mysophobia, or bacteriophobia, or nosophobia, or pathophobia. Fear of spiders, arachnophobia. Fear of flying, aerophobia. Fear of water, aquaphobia. Fear of confined spaces or being closed in, claustrophobia. Fear of dogs, xenophobia. Fear of public speaking, glossophobia. Fear of dead things, necrophobia. Fear of heights, acrophobia. Fear of intercourse or sex, genophobia or erotophobia. Fear of the dark, nyctophobia. Let's talk a little bit more about the symptoms of specific phobias. Let's expand on those. First off, please be aware that each person is very different and unique in the way that they experience their symptoms. While some people will have a certain set of symptoms, someone else can have a completely different set of symptoms. Having said that, there is some general overlap with the symptoms among everybody. First off, you have the feared object or the stimulus. That is very type specific, so it's usually going to involve a person, place, thing, or situation. Here are some general symptoms associated with specific phobias. Things like dread, fear about being around the stimulus, panic type symptoms, muscle tension, increased heart rate, heavy respirations or breathing, chest pressure, intense efforts to withdraw or get away from the stimulus or feared object. Symptoms follow a fear of something realistic. However, the fear is greater than the threat of the actual situation. To say it another way, often the threat of the stimulus or feared object is greater in our mind than the actual risk in reality. Here are some cognitive or thinking type symptoms, thoughts that go along with specific phobias. I'm going to get contaminated. I'm going to die on this airplane. The walls are closing in on me. I don't like anybody touching me. Here are some emotional symptoms that relate to specific phobias. Things like intense fear, being threat focused, even helplessness. Some physical symptoms include things like heart, muscle clenching, skin getting tingly, hand sweating, heavy sweating on other parts of your body, increased pulse, dry mouth, dizziness, difficulties concentrating, even spacey or drifty type thinking. Behavioral symptoms, things like pacing, avoiding, leaving the feared object, pressing against the wall, strategic seating in places, weeping, crying, getting loud, wearing something that gives you a sense of protection, like some kind of barrier device or some kind of thing that you wear. Avoiding places where one might come in contact with the feared object. Someone might talk about their symptoms of specific phobia in this way. They might describe it in this way. I just can't take it. When I get around it, it's like there's a car coming at you while you're sitting there walking down the street. But the difference is your feet are in quicksand or like they've got concrete around them. You see it coming and you can't move or even get out of the way. Even though part of your body on every cell tells you to move or you're not going to be able to survive. You start frantically trying to get out of the way. My heart starts beating fast. I just can't get away fast enough. Okay, what are some of the barriers to healing or recovery from specific phobias? What are the things that kind of keep them going? Things like avoidance. Avoidance, kind of staying away from things that relate to that specific phobia or the feared object. avoiding people, places, things, situations that are either directly or symbolically related to the feared object. Avoiding places where one might come in contact with a feared object. Excessive doubt of yourself, excessive excuses for yourself, saying I can't multiple times can also get in the way of healing from specific phobias. Excessive stress, rating how we feel in the moment as how we will always feel, forgetting that we don't always feel as bad as we do right in this moment. Negative thinking is not all bad. It can actually help us, but if it becomes our dominant focus by our choice, then it can hurt us. Focusing too much on our weaknesses. Avoiding learning more about and exploring your specific phobias as well as their origin. What do phobias look like? I'm going to read some examples of individuals who have specific phobias. Please note that these are not real people, but their stories represent real scenarios. Listen to why I tell you about their story. Listen for details of their specific phobias and how it impacts different areas of these individuals' lives. Mike is a college student. Mike has several fears tied to his specific phobias. He has fears and trouble with people making physical contact with him. Fears involving public speaking, fears involving crowds, as well as fears of computers. As you can imagine, this might be hard for Mike as he's in college. And this involves many things that are involved with college. Mike feels confident with his understanding and performing his academic abilities, but in today's day and age of the digital world, Mike struggles. He does not like computers, and all the assignments and references are digital, on the internet, and require computer access. Every day he moves about the campus, walking around. As people come at him, he shifts and twists his body, contorts his body to avoid making contact with others. The thought of him making contact is almost painful in his mind, crippling him with fear. He just received an assignment in his physical classroom to give a speech. He is almost panic-stricken by this assignment and the thought of doing it. Mike then starts trying to hide out in his dorm room every time he has his classroom to avoid this class assignment. Okay, the next example is Jessica, a woman in her 60s who has a fear of flying. Jessica loves her daughter immensely. However, she just received an invitation from her daughter in the mail for her daughter's wedding. The problem for Jessica is that the wedding is on a well-known island, and the only way to get there is by flying. Jessica feels almost like she is lightheaded and has vertigo-like symptoms when she sees the location of this invitation, knowing that it requires her to fly. Jessica avoids the phone calls from her daughter for the next several weeks to avoid being confronted with this and the conversation she knows that she'll have to have with her daughter about her fear. If we move on to the next example, we have Melanie. Melanie loves the outdoors. She loves going biking, hiking, walking to the woods, snowshoeing, camping, campfires, and more. She recently moved from the north to the south. In doing her research before the move, she forgot about her fear of snakes. Melanie meets up with some friends at the trailhead with the plans to go hiking that day. They all get there at the trailhead to get ready to start their hike. As Melanie is tying her shoes and making sure she's got all the gear, she looks over and sees an education sign that also has a warning sign attached to it about snakes in the area. Again, this is at the start of the trailhead. As soon as Melanie sees this, she doesn't say anything to her friends and just leaves the group swiftly, returning to her car and taking off quickly, revving her engine as she passes by. Her friends are left looking shocked and surprised with one another as they're sitting there wondering what just happened. In our last example, we'll talk about Scott. Scott has generalized anxiety disorder. He has many concerns and worries over many things. He also has a fear of leaving his home and being trapped. In addition, he has a specific phobia involving meeting new people and people whom he finds attractive. Scott finds this combination of fears quite overwhelming, but he also has desires to make friends and date. These fears and desires are in conflict with one another in his psychology. This causes difficulties having social contacts at work, socially in general with people, and when taking care of tasks. Scott often finds himself feeling quite tense about his fears and worries and tends to avoid them by just staying home and avoiding going out. We hope you found today's topic was useful for yourself or for someone else. Let us know if it was by commenting below. Let us know what you'd like to hear about or what topics could be useful to you by commenting below, and we'll take it under consideration. If you like what you heard today and would like to hear more from Destination Psychological Wellness Hub, please consider liking and subscribing to the channel. This will help you get the newest content produced by the channel to you. Please tell all your friends and family about the channel and share this video and other videos about the channel. Encourage them to like and subscribe too. And as always, we hope your psychological wellness continues to grow with us in this community. Thank you.